What are your first thoughts from last night? Because you had your doubts on Hawthorn. You
Yep.
were really strong and confident in the Western Bulldogs. Where do you want to start?
Doubts on Hawthorn because I had been saying I reckon they'd got ahead of themselves. They'd expected it just to roll on from what they were able to achieve last year, which was brilliant in the back half of the season. And this is probably the week they needed to have. You know, all the warts have been exposed. They've had a couple of honesty sessions by the sound of it, a little trip down to Sam's holiday house for quite a few of them. Look, in the end, it's probably sharpened them up. I thought their pressure was as good as we've seen them. So without the footy, is good teams are great without the footy. And I thought that's as good as they've been without the footy, with their hunt, their pressure. They didn't allow the Dogs to take the game from inside to out. They immediately shut down any outlet kicks. They were terrific in that first 25 minutes of footy.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying before the game. You're going to be able to tell in the first 5-10 minutes whether everything that they've done this week has the response that they wanted. It was 36 tackles 2 weeks ago. It was 38 last week. They had 20 by quarter time.
Yeah.
And just they were coming from everywhere. I thought the midfield led by Lloyd Meek. And look, English didn't disgrace himself, but I loved that battle. And I thought Meek's performance around the ground at the stoppages was enormous. And then for Newcombe, for Ward to do what they did against those big names in the midfield and match them in that space, I thought was significant. So, is this the catalyst for Hawthorn, without some big names in their side, to get on a roll and get things moving? It's Adelaide next week. Sicily, hopefully after a break in 2 or 3 weeks' time, is in better shape. Watson will come back. Scrimshaw will come back. Who else? Mitch Lewis, not sure. Will Day, not sure. Is this the catalyst for them to make a charge towards a potential premiership, or they're just off that conversation?
Well, this is the beauty. We don't know. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
So just on that, right? Just digress from this game for a moment. So the Premier always has an in a row run.
Yeah.
Right? So last year, Brisbane 9 in a row, round 14 to 22. Collingwood the year before, 8 in a row, then 5 in a row. Geelong in 22, they won 16 in a row on the way to winning a flag. 21, Melbourne won 9 in a row. 19, Richmond won 9 in a row. So you have to have that run to get yourself to that home final, stage.
You should come up with a name for that. I'm surprised you haven't come up with a little catchphphrase for that.
Well, it's just
you'll see that on First Crack on Sunday night.
There's a chance you might see it on Monday night on one of your shows. Usually there's a 24-hour caveat.
A little catch cry.
Might be Tuesday.
That you will come up with. So let's look at what they've got. Adelaide, then it's a bye. North Melbourne, St Kilda, Freo, Port Adelaide, Carlton, before Adelaide, Collingwood again, which is just a strange quirk in the way that the fixture is. But get through Adelaide in Tassie, then a bye, so then you can make that 2 in a row. Then you go North Melbourne, St Kilda, Fremantle's 50-50 in Perth, Port Adelaide they win, Carlton they win. It's smells a bit like an in the rower.
That's an in a rower.
Yeah.
And you just, the good sides do it. So there's a few that have got a real opportunity. So the Cats have won 3 in a row. They got the Suns, Essendon, Brisbane in Geelong, and Richmond. So that they could stack, 7 in a row. The Dogs have blown their opportunity. Collingwood have already won 4 in a row. Then they got Melbourne, St Kilda, West Coast, Carlton, and then maybe the Suns away is probably their biggest challenge. That they could stack a big run of 8 or 9 in a row. Fremantle have won 3 in a row. They got North, Essendon, Sydney, and St Kilda in the next month. They could get a 7 and then they play the Hawks. You were just talking about that game. So someone's going to get on a run. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Hawks? Is it going to be Fremantle, Geelong? We don't know, but that is the sign of a premier.
So let's talk about the Western Bulldogs. Last time I was in the studio with you because
Before you leave the Hawks.
Yep.
Newcombe, the game of Newcombe. So just to talk about, I think he's the one that sets the tone for this team. So he has 10 clearances, 15 contested.
How many score involvements? Double digits? 10.
Yeah, 10. But it's more the authority that he plays with. There's an anger to his game that I think permeates through that group, that midfield. I haven't seen Ward play a tough as game as he played last night. He makes some mistakes, and he's still a work in progress. But when Newcombe plays like that, he drags the others with him.
Well, I thought it was, because I was looking at it going, well, Day's the spiritual leader. He's not there, hasn't been there for a while. Sicily's the captain. He's not there. Who's it going to be? Like from a leadership point of view, and you go to Dylan Moore, but Newcomb's the one inside. And I thought he was able to get outside a bit more. I think this year's too much in the phone box. He's very good when he's outside. He's got a huge penetrating kick. Thought he trusted his teammates inside, and he was able to spread a bit more on the outside. And I thought his ball use was good as well. So that he's best and fairest winner. So we know the quality of it. But he hadn't been. No, he hadn't been that. That's fair. He hadn't been that this year at all.
And it just works. There's some players that just mean more to teams, like Weddle. Like seriously, and I know you've been in love with this guy for a while, so I'm not trying to steal any of your thunder.
No, we can share him.
But no, he's all yours.
No,
but what he does do is so powerful and so aggressive. It just smacks you that, oh, hang on, what we're through. Look, when you're a player on field and you see someone take the risks he takes, and when they pay off, it's like, whew, we're on here.
Yeah. So I want to ask Sam when he joins us about that. Like, are you better off to settle the lineup down? So Weddle's played back, he's played wing, he's played ruck, he's played forward. It just looked better with a smaller back line last night and him just permanently there. It looked better with Hardwick permanently back. Is he forward? Is he so
Hardwick's a back, right?
I think the point comes where you go, well, let's just settle the lineup. And we'll ask him that. And clearly, break glass in case of emergency. If you're chasing a lead, you're 4 goals down late in the last quarter. Okay, let's chuck Weddle. I understand that. But on the whole, I just think he will be better when Sicily comes back, find a position, settle him there, and just be more settled with the lineup like he did last night. Just look better. I mean, Impey's the one that goes forward. That's okay. He's probably more dispensable, Impey. Like if he's wing, if he's back, if he's forward, and you need something. But just your key pillars to settle them down. I just think it looks safer last night.
Yeah, and Jath's going to be under the squeeze.
Yeah.
He's going to get squeezed for that role when Scrimshaw comes back.
But he's a good sub, which he was last night.
Yeah.
Well, I think so, just because of the speed and the versatility that gives you if you get an injury for him. But you can't be sub every game.
The interesting matchup for the night was Barris getting dragged high up the field, and there was times where he looked really taxed physically. So I'll look forward to asking Mitch how does he assess that?
Yeah.
How does he handle that? Battle's been a consistent performer. I really like what he's been doing for this back line. But you're right, they've got to prioritise Weddle over Sicily, and that sounds silly. We would not have had that conversation at the start of the year. But I still think there's so much scope for Sicily to play other roles. He can play forward. He started as a forward. We know that he's a powerful player, but he's just at the moment a bit banged up.
And it's time to talk about the Western Bulldogs, who are outside of the 8, would you believe, at 6-6. So last time I was here with you, because Thursday night footy's been all over the place, so I feel like we haven't been in the studio that often, was after the Geelong game, which they were really good. But I said, Kingy, have they beaten anyone? Are you concerned about their record against the best team? So they've lost to Collingwood, they've lost to Fremantle, they've lost to Brisbane, they've lost to Gold Coast, they've lost to Geelong, and now they've lost to Hawthorn. These losses against good sides are piling up.
Yeah, but they're both the same. Coming into the game, they both lost to first, second, fourth and fifth.
Did you feel like the pressure was far more significant on Hawthorn than it was on the Western Bulldogs going into last night? I did.
Yeah. But this is the beauty of the game, isn't it? We're guessing results. We're trying to predict, which is almost impossible. But they both lost to the same teams, first, second, fourth, fifth. And I think the Hawks had lost to 8th and the Hawks had lost to Port Adelaide, who were
that's right,
15th
in round 5.
Yeah.
So they'd lost to Port Adelaide, Geelong, Gold Coast, Brisbane and Collingwood. The fact that the last 3 came in a row probably meant the pressure was more significant on the Hawks. But they're both and to be fair, the Western Bulldogs losses had been by close margins. Yeah. So, but I mean, Hawthorn were pretty good against Gold Coast in Darwin as well. Yeah. So it just felt like it was weighted to one side, considering their records are very similar.
Yeah, so similar teams, similar spots on the ladder. It does make you want. I keep saying this, and I know you're going to disagree with me, but I think the bottom 6 at the Dogs cost more cough-up goals than any other bottom 6 in the comp. And you can't help but see it. Like, you can go through the names. Like Ryan Gardner got taken to the cleaners last night. His strange selection in the first place comes in and just looks out of sorts. Now, this is a guy that's played 50 games. He's 28. That's the finished product, right? That's not a developing youngster that you're trying to get games into. McNeil, he can have a game where he can kick 3 goals and be quite influential, but then he can have games where, like last night, where he switches that ball at a crucial stage of the game, hangs it up in the air, Chol strolls in and goes because you're just not ready to cope with that sort of turnover. They got 5 or 6 guys in the team that really are just AFL level players, but barely AFL level players.
And we have this discussion often when it comes to the Western Bulldogs, because my direct response is, well, Hawthorn had the same. Like, they had 3 players playing their first game for the year. Ramsden, Mitchell, Butler come in for their first games of the year.
Ramsden's like a first gamer, right? So he's the unknown. So I can concede the youngsters.
But like even Finn McGuinness, like you go some of the errors that he made last night. He's a trier, but he's
love
not,
him.
Yeah, no. I love the fact that he's a accountable midfielder, and any tagger I'm going to give love to, the finisher. But he's not playing that role now, and in the role that he's probably not suited to, he does make some critical errors. My point is that I think every team's bottom 6 you can go through and go, gee, there's some vulnerabilities
my point
there.
Is the bottom 6 of the Dogs continually cost them goals. Like bottom 6, every team's got a bottom 6. That's logical, but they don't cost them as much as what the Dogs seem to, and it's every week. Like, we've had this discussion 4 times. Like, you're not going to get much more out of what Bailey Dale's doing. Bont was a fraction off last night, not at his absolute best. Sanders is getting better, but still not an absolute lock to influence games. I think Fraser was down a bit last night. Treloar we'll get to in a moment, but I didn't think their prime. Like, Libba had an off night. Like, Libba hasn't had a night like that for a while, so they rely on that next level of player. So who's going to step up? Who can help? Who does?
Well,
no one.
But I just think their top end and the strength of their list is that good that it shouldn't matter. Like, line up those midfields last night. There's no way that the Western Bulldogs don't get that job done. You just can't make it. Like, they're number 1 in every area.
They have for the bulk of the year.
I understand, but come up against Hawthorn. I keep hearing the Western Bulldogs have had injuries. Well, Darcy, yes, but not last night. Like, Hawthorn could have easily had that excuse. No Sicily, no Watson, no Day. You go, well, let's line up the injury list. So I don't know. What's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. The Western Bulldogs are going to get on a run because they play 9 of 12 at Marvel. It is a great fixture free kick that they've got, and they will play against some poor. So they will smash St Kilda next week. They'll beat Richmond. They'll beat Sydney.
They're a good side.
And then we'll... how good, though? How good? Well, and are you... So the big question is, right now, after 12 games, they're outside the 8. Yeah. All the love, everything...
We've had premiers outside the 8.
And that may happen. And I'm saying they will get on a run and they will finish in the 8. But why does this happen every year where a coach refuses to settle the lineup, play his best team, start the year slowly until he realises halfway through the year, okay, hang on, I've got to settle this team. Like Bailey Dale was playing out of the side early last year. And then he goes, I'm going to actually settle this side.
Last year, man. That was a long time ago now.
Last year. It's not that last season. So would you suggest that he's mucking around with the team again, which is to the detriment of it, and then he will realise and go, I'm going to play my best unit and we'll get on a roll and we'll probably finish 5th or 6th and put ourselves in a difficult position once again because we haven't qualified for top 4 where we should be? And further to that, before you answer, why would you sign him now? What is the benefit to signing him now and not when you've just got just a fraction more evidence? He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He said that. He's not going anywhere.
Prior to last night, coaches always say that. Prior to last night, would you have signed him?
No, I've been pretty consistent. There's no rush and need to sign him yet.
So I think prior to last night, there's grounds to sign him. I mean, he's done a pretty good job. And I don't think you jump after one game like that. It was far from a disastrous performance.
No, there hasn't been any disastrous performances from them, but with what they've got with this list, they've lost to Collingwood, Fremantle, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Geelong, and Hawthorn. Like they're good teams. So I reckon you'd want some more evidence before you're going to commit again.
But you're going to talk about the Hawks who have lost to the same teams.
Yeah, but they're in a different stage. They're in a different stage to the Western Bulldogs. Well, Sam Mitchell's been there for 3 years. Like this is a coach who's been for a long time.
Well, this is where we disagree. I still think that this is a fresh wave. They have reset on the run.
So the benefit, though, of signing Bevo is just for you is the stability, is it?
No, because you're happy with his performance. I think you're respecting and reflecting upon what he's done and what he's doing. So I think they've been evolving, as I've said to you multiple times over the last couple of years. Darcy's become a player. Richards has become a serious player. They've traded some players out. They got McRae.
List management
Daniel
has been
out.
awesome.
Fraser's
Unbelievable list management.
So I think there is a changing of the guard. But they've been a little bit hamstrung by injury. And I'm not saying they've got any more or less injuries than anyone else, but Darcy's a big out.
Yeah,
right?
he's huge.
Like,
Most
he's the
important
best
player in the comp.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, when he comes back next week, does it look different? Does that give Norton the next level of player? Does it allow you to play him? He won't play him at centre-half back. We know that, right? I would love to have seen him at centre-half back last night because they had a victim down there that was become a goal machine. So I thought they had to fix that before trying to kick them, really. But when Darcy comes back, I can see them getting on a run. I really can.
No, we all and I can too.
And being a threat in a final series.
Yeah, but it's probably going to be, you would think, from outside the top four, just because once again they've left themselves with so much work to do when this didn't need to be the case. I don't think anyway.
But does that change? It shouldn't change your view on whether you re-sign.
No, I just don't think. I don't think the rush. I'm not suggesting
they're not in the rush.
He's not going to be there.
It's round 13.
Yeah, I know, but why not wait for another 5 weeks? Well, just let's see you knock off some good teams first before we lock in for another 3 years for a coach that's been there for 13 and has underachieved significantly in the last 4 years.
Your version of Ken Hinkley versus Beveridge.
He's gone. Ken's gone.
But you've backed him up for the last 5
because
years.
The list is,
and he's
you
done
cannot
exactly
even
the same.
compare the list that what they have got and the weapons at their disposal. Kingy,
God.
pull your head in.
Consistent man.
Last week, you had James Sicily.
Yeah, how'd
Probably
that go?
aged pretty well, I would have thought.
Well, he was the biggest magnet to talk about for the week, wasn't he? Just a shame.
And I had my man Sean Darcy. Not so much Sean Darcy, more the coaches at Fremantle. If you're going to select him, make sure he's fit. Now, probably worked for them. You could argue if you could argue that it worked. I mean, he had 2 touches, but Luke Jackson was pretty good. So they're going to go there again, Fremantle, and we'll see how that plays out. In the Guns for Grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. Have you got anyone in the gun?
Yes, I have.
This week?
I have.
Who is it?
It's the North Melbourne Football Club.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
When you sell a game, you must win the game. Yes. So it's
they won't lose this. Come on, they're playing West Coast.
Yeah, they're playing them over there. I always get nervous.
Bunbury, come on,
mate. They haven't made a habit of winning. Let's just go with that. So I would love to see them get the job done here and just squash all the conversation around the edges. If you get beaten here, then the full club impact comes at you.
Yep.
Are you giving the football department the best opportunity to succeed this year? 4 points more important right now than anything. To show these kids that they're not kids. Show these young players that there's an opportunity to grow, but you've got to be winning these games. Good call.
That if they were to cough this one up, I might lead with that on one of my shows this week. If you I just haven't spoken about North for a while. I'm going to put myself in the gun.
What do you mean?
Just quickly, I was just revisiting our over and unders from the pre-season.
What have you done?
I just really got to load myself in the gun for having Collingwood under. So
what?
Under 13 and a half.
What are they
which
now?
was a big number. They're at 10. So I'm in the gun. This is what I said. I said, I think they missed the 8. I like their best 22, but if the older injury-prone players get injured, I think their depth will be exposed like a few others. Well, their depth has been exposed, and there's been no issues. The only thing, maybe it's a fraction early to be playing this well in the season, but from what I saw last week, just sitting back on my annual leave, Kingy, I watched. I texted
Banana Lounge.
I was texting you, said, stop watching footy, you idiot. They blew my socks off with that performance last week. So I'm in the gun there.
Is it the most perfect performance you've seen?
I liked your comment on that, actually. I was kind of jealous of that opinion. That was a joy to watch.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
You just hope that they can hold it all together. It's a full club thing winning a premiership.
Yep.
You need everything going
on the right way,
smoothly.
Everyone
no
rowing
problems,
the boat.
No issues.
Yeah. But that wasn't my main in the gun.
Oh, what was it? It was a little subset.
Just off the back of the discussion we had about the Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn and who have you beaten, this is a great opportunity for Adelaide. So I just think the Adelaide Football Club, the whole club, all of them. All of the club. So this is who you've beaten this year. St Kilda, no worries. North, no worries. We're going to knock you off. They got the Giants, which was a good win in that awful game where the Giants kicked 4 goals in the wet. Then they've beaten Carlton, Port Adelaide, West Coast, and they've beaten up on Sydney. I don't want the Crows to be flat track bullies, Kingy. So it's Brisbane. Ooh. It is Brisbane this week. They are favourites. It is the prime time stage tonight, actually. Get it done.
Should be a cracking game.
Absolute ripping game.
This is a popcorn style game.
But you've beaten no one. The Adelaide Football Club have beaten no one. Yet they are third on the ladder and in a good position. It's about time in the next 2 weeks we'll find out. Well, they haven't beaten anyone. I just told you. West Coast.
I just told you.
They've beaten.
Stop being so argumentative.
St Kilda, Essendon, North Melbourne. The Giants in that horrible game at home. Carlton, Port Adelaide, West Coast and Sydney. Like there's one team in the top 8.
Yeah, they're 1-4 against top 8. I understand
Thank you.
that.
I knew you'd have the numbers.
Yes.
That laptop's working.
It is working beautifully, the
Good.
HP.
Thanks for the support.
So, if they are to win tonight, the Crows, who are you narrowing on? Which players haven't performed? This is where I come back to your man, the full forward.
Yeah.
The Fog, right?
Fog.
Do it against the good side.
Okay.
Do it. Kick goals against high quality defenders that are not a big gap between the best defender and then the also rans.
Yep.
I'm fascinated by tonight.
The Fog.
Well, not just the Fog, but guys that I think the jury's out on whether they swing finals.
Yeah, I have the jury out on players like Mark Kane.
Yeah,
looks good. You know, when you're winning by 90 at the SCG, no worries. But when you come up against a pretty dangerous forward line, what's the matchup going to be? How do you compete? There's a few names. Rory Laird, probably the other one. Brodie Smith, I like back there. But he's Peatling and Cumming and these types of players around the edge. Rochelli's been beating up on some poorer sides.
Berry is the man in the middle.
There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions.
That's why they're in the gun. It's for greys. Australia's leading online auction marketplace. It's easy to buy and sell with greys. Sam Edmund is here.
Yeah,
in fact,
here.
He's been here since
He's been here most of the week.
6:38.
He's been here most of the week filling in for you, to be fair. So I reckon you just back off on him a little bit.
I'm not backing
You were
up.
about to clip him,
I was not,
and I saved you.
I was lauding his professionalism and his dedication for being here at 6:38.
Do you know one other? We've got time for this little sneaky, another sneaky little bit of homework I did for you.
One.
The healthiest team always wins it. Right. So last year, the grand final teams had played. Sydney had played the fewest players for the year, 31, and had 9 play every game. Brisbane had played 37, but they had 11 play every game, the most in the competition, every home and away game. The year before, Brisbane had the most players play every game, which was 9. The year before that, Geelong and Sydney had both only played 35 players for the year, which was equal second, and Sydney had the most play every game, which was 8.
Where are we at this year?
This year. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked that, Grasshopper. Players used for the year, Geelong have only used 29 players for the year. Adelaide, Sydney, Suns, Pies and Hawks have all used 31. Brisbane and Dogs 32. Play all games, Brisbane have had 15, the most in the comp.
What about Collingwood?
No, they have that. Well,
they've been resting and
well,
so can they not win it? Is that what you're saying? That's the other question.
I'm saying
you said the healthiest team always wins it.
Don't take it to the negative.
You said the healthiest team always wins it. My question to you is, can Collingwood win it?
Well, of course they can win it. But my data would steer you towards Brisbane.
Would suggest that they can't.
Or steer you towards Brisbane.
That is a bombshell. Now, you've done some work.
You had a strong few days, right? I know you're on holidays watching Dirty Dancing with the bride for a couple of nights.
Couple of days.
Couple of quiet nights. So I thought I'd do our All-Australian team.
Mid-year?
And just see what your thoughts are on this.
Needed some help with this.
A couple of teams are hard to squeeze in, but from the back line. Vlosten, Taylor, Ash. Wanganeen, Millerer, Wilkie, Zorko. So back 6.
Just your 2 key defenders there, Wilkie
and Taylor.
Yep.
Midfield, Smith, Richards, and Ollie Dempsey. One wingman in this year.
So hang on, for 15 years you've had a crack at us for not selecting wingmen, and you've only picked one.
Well,
just getting that on record.
Bailey Smith has played 10% wing.
10%,
which is more than the 1%.
So that qualifies, does it?
Which was more.
I just don't want any complaints from you if we were to
lost
pick
this fight.
If we were to pick one winger, I don't want any sooking. Oh, you didn't put Massimo D'Ambrosio, who didn't finish top 10 in Hawthorn's best and fairest in the All-Australian team.
I've lost the fight.
Good.
Half forwards, and these guys have played half forward. Nick Dacos, Jeremy Cameron, Andrew Brayshaw.
What percent Nick Dacos?
10%. 10%. Full forward line.
This is unbelievable.
Dawson, who is now playing forward pocket.
Yeah, what percent?
Jamie Elliott.
Yeah, that's okay.
Ben Long.
Yep, happy with that, but not sure about Dawson.
Note that there's not two keys. Tristan Sherry, Noah Anderson, Hugh McCluggage, Jack Sinclair, Max Gawn, Zach Merritt, and Bailey Dale.
2 rucks.
2 rucks.
And you've gone for Sherry over Gawn.
Asterisk on Bontempelli because of games required. 16. You've changed from 17 to 16.
We haven't.
Conveniently, who would have thought?
That's what it's been.
So, on the edges, I'm trying to get Clark in. I'm trying to get Holmes in.
I love Jordan Clark's here.
I'm trying to get Jackson's coming with a run. I'm trying to get Sidebottom in. I'm trying to get Hogan in. So that's just the mid-year one.
So your one key forward was?
Well, I just don't think that Jeremy Cameron. I don't think the others have had all-Australian calibre
years. Is it important for you? Now, these are just questions that come up. Is it important to you that the Coleman medalist is an all-Australian, or that doesn't automatically give you an all-Australian blazer?
No, it probably should. It probably should. But the Coleman medalist could be Jamie Elliott.
Of course. I think it's unlikely. But the winner of the Coleman medal, you wouldn't be offended if it was sort of tight that they didn't get. So say Ben King won the Coleman.
I don't think Ben King has had an All-Australian 12 weeks. I don't think. Bit of feedback here from old mate Ant in Mitcham. Does Hugh McCluggage play tennis? Well, if you listen to the lineup, my friend, I got him as a rover.
He's in there.
You idiot.
He is in there. We'll put a copy of that. Clearly, the Slevo's just salivating. He's thinking like clicks everywhere on that team.
Well, there'll be feedback. It'll be strong.
That's okay. We will put a copy of that up on our socials. In fact, I want that tweeted by 9 o'clock. If you can, sort that out, team.
Staff writers. I'll get the staff writers.
I'm sure they will be all over that.
I've got Dempsey over Sidebottom. Would you have Dempsey
over
Sidebottom?
Well, it's hard for me to.
You just said yes. So
it's hard for me to.
All I wanted was an answer, and yes,
I think both have been really strong. But I have really enjoyed the work of Ollie Dempsey.
2 rucks?
It's always a topic of discussion.
Does the modern game... You've been big on saying you don't need 2 rucks.
No.
So I would be surprised if you would be in favour of 2 rucks.
Well, is this team going to... Yeah, look, it's all up for... It's early days.
I've spoken to my people at...
Who's your people?
At Fox Footy, and we are in negotiations to try and get the last meeting filmed, given the success
it's funny you
of
say
last
that.
year.
It's funny you say that because I'm in discussions with my people at Channel 7 to do it properly.
You've been discussing other things.
To do it properly. Because when you had the opportunity at Fox, stuffed it.
What do you mean we stuffed it?
Oh,
you were shaking your head at inappropriate times.
Pretty boring, I thought. I'd like to just revamp things up a little bit. And so myself and Jonesy are in discussions about sorting that out.
Okay.
And you'll see that free. That is a good agenda item from you.